interesting thing. What's up, everyone? It's Ruby here, bringing you guys live from the RMTV. Today, we're doing a RubyCast live. We're doing a little podcast that we used to do and haven't been doing for a couple of weeks because we've been doing other things. But this week, today, we're talking about perception and the internet. Originally, it was going to be forgiveness, perception, and the internet. But we will still talk about forgiveness, but I just didn't want the title to be so long. But I think forgiveness goes into what we're talking about anyways. So it's just going to come up naturally anyways. The internet is a very interesting thing that happens. Because on the internet, you are basically anonymous, but not completely anonymous. Well, those who choose to be completely anonymous are those hiding behind computer screens, typing away on Twitter, typing away in the YouTube comments, Twitch chats, whatever. You could be talking to your next door neighbor and you would never know. Unless they decided to stream or make a YouTube video or do something like that. Then you would probably know. Assuming they used a mic and a camera. But then again, if they only used a mic and no camera, you would never know, really, because you could never see their face. And so they might sound like your next door neighbor, but then they might not be. Where am I going with this? What I'm saying is that you have no idea who in the world you're talking to. You could be talking to someone that you actually know and not even realize it. You could be talking to someone all the way in China or Japan or Korea or the UK or Africa or South America. You have no idea who you're talking to. And yet, people like to judge. People like to perceive. It's a natural human instinct. It's not necessarily any individual's fault for that, because naturally, we judge people. We take in information that we know, and we spit out our opinions, whether we like it or not. Usually it's in our head, but if we are so kind, we will say them out loud on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Discord, wherever. It doesn't matter, we'll say it. The power of anonymity is immense. On the internet, you can pretend to be anyone you want without really having to prove otherwise. Unless, of course, you're a celebrity or you decide to do the streaming thing or make videos, then you become a public figure, you become an influencer, you become an entertainer or whatever, and then privacy goes out the window. But an average internet person can go completely under the radar. And you have no idea who you're talking to. And yet, we have this funny instinct to judge people. We assume things. We assume gender. We assume race. We assume backgrounds. We assume that everyone is like us, or that no one is like us. No one would understand. We assume political ideologies. We assume ideologies in general. We assume religion. We assume so many things about a person based on what they say. And that's just true of anything. When you meet a person who you've never met before and you see them for the first time or you talk to them for this time, there's a lot of things that go on in our heads. We're like, oh, this person's really annoying. Or, this person, I like this person. They seem reasonable. Or, something like that. And you really never know a person until you've truly met them. But we like to think that we do. We like to think that we know a person. We like to think that we know exactly who Dwayne Johnson is. We know exactly what he thinks. We know exactly what he does. We know exactly what he says. We've seen him in the movies. We've seen him online. We know we could be friends with Dwayne Johnson. And yet, you only see half of his life. You only see the parts of him that he puts out there. We think that we know anyone on the internet enough to be their friends. People like to come to streamers, come to YouTubers, and there's this weird relationship between streamers and viewers. There can be a point where, we do truly believe that we're friends. Even though we might not know everything about each other, there's a perception that, once we get to know each other enough, we can be friends. We can be internet friends. And frankly, most of my friends are probably online. Yeah, most of my friends are online. And most of my friends, I don't know their names. I don't know what they look like. I don't know. I might know how they sound like. I know how some people look like. But in general, I have no idea what they're thinking. I have no idea what they've done. I have no idea. I assume that they're a good person because they seem like one, but who knows? Maybe they killed a person. I would never know. And that's an interesting thing. A lot of the times, we like to assume the worst. We like to assume that everyone is out to get us, everyone has the worst intentions ever, and that everyone is evil in some way. I'm speaking in general, about the internet in general. That's what the internet likes to do. They like to say, oh, this person, they are going out of the way and manipulating you and lying to you and deceiving you and trying to trick you and all that. Some cases, it's true. Some cases, people are truly being manipulative. People are truly actually meaning to spiral you down a certain staircase or something like that. But I think we sometimes forget that people are just that. People. People make mistakes. People lie. People cheat. People do things that they might regret later. Or maybe they never intended to actually do it, but it just ended up being that way. I mean, you can never really know what a person's true intent is. You can never really know if, maybe they were joking, maybe they just messed up, maybe they just made a mistake. Maybe they just didn't realize something. Maybe it just wasn't their intent to harm people. And, I'm a person who likes to see the good in everyone. Even someone who's been in jail. I like to think, sometimes all it takes is one bad day. It doesn't mean that what they did could be forgiven. It doesn't mean that what they did is any better than, it doesn't make it better. It just makes it more understandable. Well, some cases it doesn't make sense at all. And it just, why would a person do that? But I think it's difficult. I think people like to act like felons or, people who've been in jail, ex-cons, must be the most evil people on planet Earth. They must be. The people who were arrested for loitering, tax evasion, fraud, money laundering, even murder, drugs. We just assume that they are the worst people on planet Earth. And some cases, yeah, they are. Other cases, it's more complicated than that. Sometimes people get desperate. People do things that they otherwise would never have done. Or maybe they were just caught up in the wrong place, the wrong time. Maybe they didn't even do it. It's hard to know the true story behind every case, behind every accusation, behind everything. Because we would like to assume that the victims are telling the truth. I think everyone would like to believe that. And I think everyone should believe it to a degree. But at the same time, we should understand where the other person is coming from. And that can be a hard one. There's such thing as accountability. Accountability is making sure that people are doing the right things and holding people accountable. But how do we hold people accountable if we never give them a second chance? If we never let them take accountability? If someone does something wrong, we're down that person's throat. And, we cancel them and we don't really ever actually truly forgive them. At least most people seem to not do that. And the question is, well, should you? Some people would say, oh, this person is clearly manipulating you. They're not a good person. Well, they can't be. But is that really truly the case? We look at people like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Alinity, PewDiePie, James Charles, Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, and we all have individual thoughts about those people, whether it's good or bad. A lot of them bad. Some of them good, or at least better. And yet, all those people have one thing in common. They're all people. They're all human beings, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. And human beings are going to make mistakes. They're going to do things that are wrong. It's really hard not to. Sometimes we just do things that we just regret later. It sometimes comes back to bite us in the ass. Now, people will tell you their honest thoughts, their blunt thoughts about all the people that I listed, and even more. But, those people in particular, people seem to have a very firm idea of who those people are, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. People have their thoughts about Alinity. She's this cat abuser who is out there to be a vigilante and take down all those, copy strike those videos and steal everyone's money. And, she apparently immigrated illegally to Canada. She's done all of these things. She must be the worst person on planet Earth. No. And while I can see why people might think that, I also see why anyone could be like Alinity, could make those mistakes that she did. And the question is, do we forgive her? She hasn't technically been punished for anything that she's done, but she's clearly moved on and is trying to be a better person. So do we let her do that? Do we just let it go? And my thought is yes. Because you know what? You would want that done to you as well. You would want people to forgive you for your past mistakes. Even if you were never punished for them. You would still want people to be able to give you the opportunity to show people that you've grown, that you've learned, that you can learn, and just move forward. Move on with your life. How would you like it if something you did 10 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago was just hung over your head and was just like, everyone just brought it up constantly. I have things that I've done in the past that people still bring up to this day. And it's really annoying. Because the things that I've done, I realize now were mistakes, or wrong, or whatever. And it's really especially what's really annoying to me is when I know I fucked up. I made a mistake. But people can't just let it go. Like it was clearly a mistake. But everyone constantly brings it up every single day, every week, every month. Someone talks about it, someone brings it up, and I know that I fucked up, but I can't go back in time and change it. So what am I supposed to do? It is really annoying when, it's one thing to joke about it like once in a while and like be like, hey, you remember when you did this? Remember when you accidentally did this? It's another to just constantly bring it up and remind me that I was an idiot or I just made a stupid mistake. It is so annoying, and yet people do it all the time. Whether it's to be annoying or it's to actually just constantly swing it around town. Like you're just trying to move on, and this one person just keeps bringing it up. Actually, let's be honest, it's usually more than one person, but let's just pretend it's one person, and they're just constantly bringing it up. Whatever. Just think about how that would feel. Think about one mistake one big mistake that you've done in your life. Okay, think about that. Think about how would you feel if every single day, every single week, every single year, people brought up that one mistake, whether maybe you tripped, maybe you yeeted, you just ate it on the 10th step, and you just fell down the stairs. Okay, and everyone saw. And people just keep bringing it up, like, remember when you fell down the stairs? Hey, yo, dude, remember when you fell down the stairs? Hey, dude, don't trip over don't fall down the stairs. And they just keep doing that every day, every week, every year. Now, usually, it's things that are bigger than that. But let's just say that's what it was. Wouldn't that be really annoying? Because obviously, you fucked up. You tripped over the stairs or whatever. You fell down the stairs. It was bad. It was awkward, and you just want to move on. You just want people to forget about it. But this one or two or three people just constantly bring it up, or 5 or 10 or 100. However many people saw it. It gets really annoying. It's funny at first because you're like, oh yeah, haha, I fucked up. But then it's like, okay, I get it, I fucked up. I'm human. I don't know about you, but I'm human. I've done things that are just plain stupid. And I understand that. I've accepted it. But when people just constantly bring it up, it gets really annoying really fast. Especially when I'm already kind of beating my head over it because it was just so stupid, and it didn't need to happen, but it did. And the most frustrating part is that I don't even remember doing it. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm talking about because I'm not going to be the one to bring that up. But anyways, it's really annoying. It's annoying. But people do it all the time. Imagine being a 12 or 13-year-old. You're approached by this guy with a briefcase or a suit. He's wearing a suit, guy with a briefcase, maybe wearing sunglasses, and he tells you, hey, you have the opportunity to write a hit song. A 12, 13-year-old is going to hit that up. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it. You know, that'd be cool. You know, I can just have fun with my friends. I can make a music video. People, like 100 people might see it. It'll be funny later. And so you decide to do it. You decide, you know what, as a 12 or 13-year-old, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a song. I'm going to do this. I want the experience. It's probably going to be fun. We'll laugh about it someday. And then you do it. And then you post it. You know, it gets posted online and everything. And then the next day, you wake up to thousands and thousands of messages telling you you're the worst person on planet Earth, telling you to kill yourself, telling you that the song is the worst, like, and millions of people have seen this and are talking about it. It is the number one subject when you go back to school. Everyone's talking about this new song that you made and how bad it is. Mind you, you're 12, 13 years old. And then imagine 10 years, like imagine 1 year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later, everyone's still talking about that dumb song you made when you were 13 and 12. Wouldn't that be annoying? Yes, it would be. And yet people do it. It baffles me that people think that it's a 12-year-old's fault for wanting to make a hit song and being like, hey, this would be a cool experience. And then the next day, people have this like weird perception of this girl who just decided to make a song about, Friday. And, people perceive Rebecca Black forever as the girl who decided to make a song called Friday. And people constantly bring it up and talk about it. People have, it's the worst song ever. To me, I actually like Friday. But imagine being Rebecca Black. You're like, oh, this is going to be a cool experience. And then you just get blasted with years of death threats, of just hateful comments. You're 12, you're 13. You didn't know it was going to blow up like this. You thought like maybe a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand might see it. But you didn't expect like 16 million people to be watching and judging this song when you're, again, 12, 13 years old. And yet they are. And they're talking about it, and they just keep hating you for it. And they look at you like you're like the worst person on planet Earth. And everyone who is on the internet and watching this song, they're like, oh, this is the worst song ever. This is so annoying. Why would a girl do this? And, it's not the first time people were like that. People were like that with Justin Bieber. People were like that with any Disney star who happened to be on Disney Channel or Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or whatever. If you happen to be talented, that was a bonus. Because you would actually probably be praised for it, like Ariana Grande. But a lot of times, you're in the spotlight. People are judging you for what they see, what they hear. I mean, you're like Miley Cyrus. You decided to go away from the Disney brand, and you made that one song that no one lets you forget ever. And you're never going to forget it because, it's you licking a sledgehammer and riding naked on a wrecking ball. And yet people will forever see that video and judge you for it and assume that that is a person that you are today. That you are the same person who did that today and would do that today. Yeah, maybe you would. Maybe you would do it again. It was a smash hit, #1 song. But then again, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you don't want people talking about it still. Or maybe you're a young actor. People approach you and say, hey, we're going to make this movie. It's going to be kind of, it's kind of like Harry Potter, It's in that age range. It's going to be about, it's going to have vampires and werewolves, and it's probably going to be a huge, it's regarding this franchise, this book series that is really popular, and you get the chance to play one of the main characters in that movie. And you're like, well, sure, okay. I get to be Edward Cullen, I get to be Bella Swan or whatever. And then you do it, but then it's bad. It's mostly bad. And so everyone just assumes that since you made that, you did that, and it was popular when you were like, I don't know how old he was, 18, 19, 20, I don't know. People would just assume that, he's the same actor, or she's the same actor that they were in that movie. So that means they have to be bad. They have to, be this, they see you in that light. Even if you've done other movies afterwards proving that you can actually, act. And that you're not the person that you were when you did that movie. People take the one thing that one bad thing that you did, and they just run with it. They hold it over your head. They'll bang it on your head. They'll smack you with it left, right. They won't hesitate to use it against you. Maybe you're a person who made a few mistakes, and you just happen to be in the spotlight, and you're still in the spotlight, and the media just keeps mentioning it over and over again, even though you've already addressed to them. It's like no one believes in forgiveness. No one believes in just letting it go. And then there's others who would say, well, you shouldn't let it go because it happened. Well, what I'm saying is that what are we supposed to do about it? We can't go back in time and change the past. What we can do is change the future and make sure that we're a better person in the future. We can't go back in time and change our mistakes that we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I would love to. There's plenty of things that I would change if I could. Or though maybe I wouldn't, because I'm a better person now, today, because I made those mistakes a few years ago. And yet people will not let you do it. People will not let you just let it go. People expect, if you do one bad thing and it's brought up on the internet, you're done. That's it. You're canceled. You're never coming back from that. I mean, you could prove them wrong and actually be still be the #1 YouTuber in the world, at least individual creator. But people will still remember you for those things, and people will still bring it up. People will never let it go. The one comment you made 12 years ago when you were 12, yeah, that's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. Because maybe you said something that you weren't supposed to say, but you didn't know any better because you were 12 or 13. But people think that because you said it then, you must be internally racist or sexist or whatever. When the truth is, the person that I was 10 years ago is not the person that I was now, that I am now. I hope not. Because Otherwise, what is growth? Is growth even a thing? Like, what do I do? What do you expect me to do? I can't go back in time. I can't change things. All I can do is improve on the future. All I can do is learn from my mistakes. And, people are ruthless on the internet. Absolutely ruthless. People will drag you through the mud. People don't care about you. And yet, there's this other side to the internet that is the reason why it's hard to abandon. Because yes, there are those people that will never let it go. They will never let it go. They will constantly drag you through the mud, and they just won't shut up about it. And then there are the others that are actually good people. And it's the reason why I like to do this. It's the reason why I do this. Why I'm still here. It's because those people exist. The people that can actually be your friends. And actually are just here to be what everyone else is trying to be. Just people on the internet. They don't make a big deal out of it. They understand that humans are human beings. And they understand. Maybe you shouldn't admit everything that you've done ever. But they're here for you. It's hard to tell which ones are the real ones sometimes. Sometimes the person that you think is a good person is actually not such a good person. But then you're like, well, I mean, how much do I see is actually real? You could kind of question, like, is this person real? Or are they trying to trick me? I've been duped before, so I've trust issues now because the people that I thought were good and were here for me weren't. And I'm not just talking about online. I'm also talking in real life. I've been duped several times. So many times that it's hard to trust people now. It's hard to know which people are actually real and genuinely here for you. And the others that are just using you, or maybe that's simply your perception. Maybe the people who hurt me before didn't actually mean it. Maybe they didn't even know. I mean, I will never know. I can never know. I mean, maybe in like 10 years I'll run into someone that I used to know and I can ask them then. But I mean, there's no point on doing that. By then, it would be stupid to do. But it's not just on the internet. I think it's in real life too. Like, we have these perceptions of people. We think that everyone's talking about us, everyone's trying to be against us, everyone is, they're working up this masterful plan to make our lives absolutely miserable. But are they really doing that? I mean, I'm sure there are people that think that I am some evil person, was intending to harm. I mean, I've been told in a few instances that everything that I'm just an ass or a bitch or something like that. And it hurt then because I was like, well, I'm not trying to be. I've never tried to be. I'm just me. And when you get bombarded with people saying this in your, not just online but in real life, you start to question, well, is it me? Am I the problem? Am I actually the problem? Am I the person? Am I actually the villain in this story the entire time? And it's hard. It's really hard. And that's the thing about perception, is that what we perceive might be completely different from what someone else perceives. And we question why some people are supportive of certain people, and like, how could you still support someone like that? But you have to understand that their experience of that person is different from yours. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad person for wanting to support someone like Logan Paul or Jake Paul or James Charles or Jeffree Star. It just means that they perceive that person in a different light. And while you think that they are the worst people on planet Earth, I think there's more to people than we think. And, I think about the people that I say, manipulated me, used me, and just, we didn't end on a good note. And I think about, well, how much of that was just my perception on things, and how much of those were just genuine. I mean, I think about how one person could really change another person that I thought I knew well. Was it really them pulling strings and kind of manipulating them into being this person? Or were they simply that person all along? Or am I just completely mistaken, and what I thought was manipulation and all these things was really just people just being people? And then, sometimes I think about, I think a lot about the stuff that I've done in the past, both good and bad, and I'm like, I mean, there are times where I've pushed a little bit because I was just done. I was just frustrated. I was angry. I was upset. I was mad. And, when you're on, I've learned a very important thing. I haven't necessarily applied it, but it's a very important thing. Never text, never tweet, never post anything when you're emotionally upset, mad, angry, whatever. Because I can guarantee you will regret it. Because what seems like is right to you in the moment, like you're so angry, you're so upset, you need to say all these things, you need to get it off. What seems like a good idea, once you're back in your right state of mind, and you watch that and you see that, you're like, wait, why did I post this? What in the world? Oh my God. Look, we do a lot of things when we're upset, when we're angry, when we're mad, and we can post some heated things. And, someone who looks at that from the outside and just sees you posting this thing, maybe you're upset, maybe you're angry, whatever, and they look at that and they're like, oh, wow, this person really thinks that, this person's really like that, and people will perceive you for it. I don't think that's the word that I was looking for, but that's the word I'm going to use. Every person has their opinions on another person. They have their opinions on you. They have their opinions on me. They're not going to be the same as the person next to you. Some people might think that, hey, Ruby, you're the most manipulative person on the internet. And I would say, you might be onto something. I mean, I don't know. I can definitely manipulate certain situations in a way where, I mean, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I can be a little bit manipulative. But I don't really realize it at the time that I'm doing it. I just do it. And I think everyone is kind of like that, where people kind of just manipulate the situations to be the best outcomes for them. And they're not necessarily trying to be a manipulative person, but they're just trying to, I don't know, maybe they just believe it internally. Like, to say that I've never lied, to say that I've never lied would be a lie. And I think that goes for everyone. I think everybody lies. I think everybody manipulates certain situations. And does that make me like the most manipulative person on the internet? Hell no. I could never do that. Because here's the thing. I don't have the ability to see it through. I hate antagonizing people. I hate confrontation in general. I don't like conflict. That's why I hate politics. I hate talking about them, at least. Because all it leads is to petty arguments, bad fights, and it never ends well. No matter which side you're on. It doesn't matter. No matter what your thoughts are. It's just better to stay out of it. At least when it comes to online stuff. Because every time you have an opinion, you're giving another thing for people to perceive about you. I don't know English, but and I look at these political tweets and everything, not willingly, but I do. I'm like, again with the fucking politics. No, I mean I get it. People can do whatever they want. But it's so annoying. And it bugs the heck out of me. And I'm just like, can you please stop? And then I create this perception of this person. Whatever view they have, I'm just like, oh my god. It doesn't matter which side you're on. I hate it in general. There's very few times where I'm okay with politics. Very few. And it's almost never on Twitter. No, it's never on Twitter. Never on Twitter. There's very few circumstances where I will engage in political discourse. It's usually not anywhere on social media. Usually. Or if it is on social media, it is a way where people are being just reasonable. Not such a headache. And I'm talking about both sides, just to be clear. I'm not saying anything about anyone, but what I'm saying is that there's only certain places where I can feel comfortable about politics, and it's honestly almost never. There's very few instances, and I've been trying to get more politically engaged, but it just gives me the biggest headache because it's so complicated. But anyways, veering off to the left or to the right, I don't know. But veering off into another direction, yeah, I get that perception of people. And it creates thoughts in my head. And it's usually not good. Because I can't stand politics. No matter what side it's on. And so I create this perception about people. I won't say what it is, but I mean, I think you probably put two and two together. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. I think that people have determined how they see certain people. And if you think anything else other than what they think, they'll burn you for it. Sometimes it's hard to say that I like watching PewDiePie because people are like, people have their opinions, whether it's good or bad. And they have their perception of them. But I also have my perception on the person, on Felix. I have my perception of Jacksepticeye and Valkyrie and Pokimane and all of people, James Charles. I have my perception. I have my perception about, Jeffree Star and Gordon Ramsay and Simon Cowell. And, sometimes it's a much bigger picture than people think. Because in black and white, in pen and paper, it might look like someone is being this evil, this like the Wicked Witch of the West. But then on the other hand, it's so much more complicated than that. Like, people in general are not simple. I don't think that anyone is just good and bad and good. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think sometimes people are just people who do bad things or do good things. And I think anyone is capable of doing both, bad and good. And it's sometimes hard to distinguish what exactly is bad, what exactly is good. And on the internet, people have their thoughts. They've already made up their mind. They've already decided who you are. Having opinions on the internet is a dangerous thing. Just opinions in general. It doesn't have to be. You could say that my favorite color is red. My favorite color is red. I like red. I don't like blue. I mean, I do like blue, but I like red. I'm a red person. Someone would have an issue with that. All the blue people. Oh wait, should I say it? We're talking about colors. I just want to be specific. I am talking about colors. All the people that are on Team Blue, that like the color blue, usually, I've actually learned that most people who like red don't really like blue. And people who like blue don't really like red. And there's a very simple explanation for that. One's a warm color, one's a cool color. So if you like blue, you're probably more likely to like other cool colors. If you like red, you're more likely to like other warm colors, like orange, which I actually like orange too. Why am I talking about this? But people have their perceptions about the color red. People have a lot of perceptions about the color red. And sometimes it is the dumbest thing. And sometimes it's just really funny when people argue about colors and like what they think about it, and it's not anything anyone can really control. I mean, I didn't choose red to be my favorite color. It just happened to be that I like red more than blue. I mean, I'm a Red Sox fan. So I'm a Patriots fan. And it's like, I mean, it's just what I prefer. And when I say I'm a Patriots fan, people will automatically have their perceptions about me and their perceptions about the Patriots. People have their opinions about the Patriots, and most of them not good. And you know what? I'm okay with that. But it's interesting how people take instances like this. People take sports teams, and they have their thoughts. I mean, we antagonize the Yankees, New York. We support Boston, Red Sox and Patriots against the Giants and Yankees, and also Dallas. Dallas can go. Dallas Cowboys is a no-go. And we're very passionate about sports teams. Those who are into sports are very passionate about their sports teams. and they get so into it. They get so involved. And it's also the same case with consoles. People have their preferred console. And it's interesting. I am an Xbox person. Xbox and PC. But if we're talking about consoles only, I'm Team Xbox. I used to actually be Team Sony, Team PlayStation. Long time ago. When I had a because my first main console was a PlayStation 2. So of course I was Team Sony. And I also got a PlayStation 3. But then I was introduced to the Xbox 360. And I never really went back to Sony, to be honest. Especially when Sony started doing really shady stuff. And I have the mindset that I don't like Sony. I don't like them. I have a lot of disagreements with some of their practices. And people will then look at me and make their perceptions because I don't like Sony. And they will develop their opinions about me. People will go to war fighting against me because I don't like Sony. I just don't. I don't like Disney either. I mean, I like their movies, don't get me wrong. I like Disney movies. But I don't like the company. The company is very concerning. But I do like some of the remakes. And then people have their perceptions about those. I think perception has always been the same. People judge very easily. It's most of the time honestly wrong. But I think the internet has simply magnified it. Because anyone can make their opinions crystal clear on the internet. Because they know that most of the time they can't be traced back. No one knows who they are. So they can say whatever they want. Me, I can't do that. I just assume that everyone's going to find out who I am someday. And so, I am very not the person who can just say whatever I want and just... I have morals, okay? I have standards, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't be that person who just insults everybody and just trolls. I've been tempted to do it. Don't get me wrong. I've been tempted to just make an anonymous account and just troll. But then I feel bad. And then I also think, well, what if people figured it out? And it's I just can't do it. I can't do it. And there's a lot of people who just can't do it. I can't cross that line. I have morals. I have standards. There's other people that give no shits. That don't care a damn. And will say whatever they want. It's there are those that are okay with just saying that they, watch a certain adult site that starts with P and ends with B. And then there's others that just pretend not to watch it or just genuinely don't watch it. And, people will have their perception about that. And people definitely have their opinions about that site. It's it's a taboo subject, even though everybody does it. And it's it's very interesting. I mean, there's some people that genuinely never watch that, never do it, never touch it, never, never heard of it. There's others that very clearly probably, you don't want to think about the people that are on that site, because then you realize that a lot of those people are people that you probably know, like your teacher or your parents or something like that, and it's disgusting and disturbing. Anyways, it's distress. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to even picture that. So we just don't. We just ignore it. We just don't talk about it. It's really like it's so awkward. Like when parents start doing the things that we do. Like, I mean, it's cool. Like, if you think about it, and the people that play video games, a lot of them are parents. But when you think about, like, our parents doing that, it's weird. It's weird. Or if you think about, like, your teacher who might be on Twitch. Like, your teachers might be on Twitch. Your, like, elementary school teacher might be on Twitch. And you would never know. You would never know. Your elementary school teacher could be watching you right now and you would not even know. Unless it said it, of course. I mean, what are the chances of actually meeting someone that you know in real life, online, and thinking that they're a completely different person? Sometimes there was like one time where I thought about what if like this person that I'm talking to is actually my next door neighbor or something like that, and I just never knew. It would be really creepy because like I know some people that are from my state online, and it's like, and they even say that they're in my sort of range, and it's like, damn, I could have met you in the parking lot in Starbucks or Walmart, and I would never know. You could meet the people that you know online or seen online. You could meet them at Walmart, you could meet them at Target, and you would never know. I think about that all the time. It's like I could be walking by, this one person that I know on the internet, and I would never know. They might actually be able to recognize me, because I've been on camera a few times, but I would never recognize them. Like, I think about, like, what if I just, like, moved to New Jersey or something, and I just ran into a person that I knew. That I know. That would be really interesting. I don't know if we would ever acknowledge it. Like, I've told people, like there was, like, that one time where I went to California. And so I very well could have actually met some people that I know that are from California, but I would never have known. I just thought, they're strangers to me. They're complete strangers. Like, we could be friends online, but to me in real life, you are a complete stranger to me. I don't know who the heck you are. Now, there are some people that I'm pretty sure I will probably never meet because we're in different countries. And, I'm not likely to travel. I don't really like traveling that much. I like seeing places, but I don't like traveling. I would much prefer to stay at home. Where am I going with this? Perception is a weird thing. Perception is a very, very strange thing. Because, I mean, just the other day, no, not the other day, but last year, I can't go into complete detail because I probably will end up doxing myself, but let's just say I knew a person I knew a person, like, in real life, that people were talking about online. And there's a reason why people were talking about it. But it was very strange. Because, I'm like, I know who that is. I, have met them. I've talked to them. Not in, not in the field that they work in, but I met them, in my neighborhood. They're my neighbor. And it was very, very strange. Because I know them on a personal level, but everyone's talking about them. And it's weird. I know why they were talking about them. That's pretty easy to figure out. But it was just so weird. I'm like, imagine if, hypothetically speaking, you were next door neighbors to someone someone not so big where it's Shakira or something like that, but someone who's big enough to be recognized but small enough to not imagine if you just lived next door to some sort of influencer or something and you realize that you live next to them and people were talking about them and you're like, interesting. I know who this person is. The people are talking about them. It's so weird. It's such a weird thing. And I don't know, I think there's only a few instances where you can have these situations happen to you. But when it does, it's so bizarre because you know exactly the person that they're talking about. You know them. And it's just so weird. Because you have your perception of them because you know them personally. But others have the perception of them because they know them from what they've done online. And it's so weird. It is so weird. Imagine. Just imagine it. Just imagine it. Oh my goodness, it's so weird. It's when people talk about when I was on vacation in the UK, I was actually in an area where I know someone lives, someone online. And I'm just what if I just met them and I just didn't know? Or my other thought was what if I meet them when I'm walking with my parents and they just come up to me and say hi? No, I don't think anyone would do that, but it would be interesting. It's gone through my head that scenario. If I was with my parents and stuff, and someone recognized me somehow in some way, it would be so weird. But if I ever get to that point where it's that would be so weird. I don't know if I could handle that, being recognized. It's not, I think that people, you don't know enough about a person to really truly recognize them in the streets. But maybe you do. Maybe you would. Maybe you did. It's there is this one person who went to my university or was going to my university. And in my head, I was because they reminded me of a person that I know online. And I was is it possible that it's actually them? That'd be so weird if they were the person that I thought they weren't. But it would be so strange if I was in the class with the person that I thought they were. That'd be so weird. I. It's just so strange. And it's gotta be even stranger when you're on the other end when people do actually recognize you. Because it's like, what? You're not supposed to know me. I don't even know who you are, but you know everything about me. Or at least you think you do. I mean, that's your perception. That you think that you know who I am, but you don't know who I am. It's just so strange. It really is so strange. And you never know how to handle the situation because what are you supposed to do? It just doesn't make any sense. And it's just so bizarre. Perception is a weird thing. Like, we look at people and we're so quick to judge them, whether it's good or bad. Like, we look at certain people and we call, oh, they're saints. They could never do anything wrong. And then we look at other people and we're like, oh, they're devils. They're the epitome of evil. And it's like, at the end of the day, people are people. We just kind of just assume what they're like based on what they do and like the videos they make. And we don't even realize, hey Ram, we don't even realize that we're only seeing certain sides to people. Like, we only see what they put out. Like, we only know Shakira based on like what she says and what she sings or whatever. Like, we don't truly know them, and yet we act like we do. And what's even stranger to me is when people do like those real life fan fictions. Like, I'm not talking about doing a fan fiction like on like a fandom like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter. I'm talking about when people do like fan fictions about real life people. It's always strange to me. And I will be honest, I have done it before. But now that I'm older, I recognize that that's really strange to do. And just really weird in general. Because you're taking this real person and you're changing them to be in your view. And you have no idea who this person actually is. You just know a certain version of them. And it's so strange. Because, like, we perceive certain people to be a certain way. Like, people have their perception about, like, One Direction. People have their perception about, like, NSYNC. And people went nuts. Like, people go crazy over them. Over their ships and their theories and their conspiracy theories and everything. But it's stranger than doing it to like a book or movie, because these are real people. These are human beings with real lives that you don't actually know. And yet we have this like, we just have this perception about people. And we're even willing to twist it into our own image and kind of make them out to be the person who we want them to be. You know, we never really stop to think about what they actually might be like. Because again, we only see one side of these creators, these influencers, these people. You know, people have their ideas about Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians. They have their opinions about them. People have opinions about everyone, whether they truly know them or not. And sometimes they act like they're like best friends, even though, again, you only know like one side to them. It's so strange, so interesting. People do it all the time. I'm not playing any mods right now, but that's honestly outdated probably. It's just, I mean, people have their opinions about me, and everyone's opinions about me is going to be different. And it's so hard when the person that you think you are to everyone isn't what, like yes, like you think that I'm cool, but there are other people that have perceived me to be a bitch, an asshole, a manipulative person, a dictator, all sorts. I've heard it all. It's so interesting because the things that lead them to that answer, to that perception, is usually, honestly, most of the time, it's because I was just doing my job as a moderator, as an administrator. People have very interesting opinions when it comes to authority. And it's not just online either. I don't really want to go there, not that direction, but what I'm saying is that people, like, what I've noticed, and this is from experience, is that when you're like a regular viewer or just a regular person, and you're just there to chill, you're there to hang out, people don't care what you do. As soon as you become a moderator or an administrator or take some sort of authoritative role, people look at you so differently. Like, it's so, like, people even talk to me about it and how, like, oh yeah, like we're kind of like scared of you or something. But I'm like, I'm the same person that I've been since I was a member. Like, I haven't changed. Like, sometimes, yeah, I gotta do my job because I just gotta do my job sometimes. But people don't like that. And it kind of like affects how people like see you. And it's very interesting. Indeed. And then because of that, like, I develop my opinions about other people. It just goes around and around like a carousel. It's so difficult. Because you don't know what actually is true and what's not true. Because even the things that you see, even the things that you like hear, are not always 100% true. Like people just automatically assume that you're out to hurt them. Like, you're out there trying to destroy their lives. And that's what people were very quick to jump to when it comes to influencers who do certain things. People automatically jump to, oh, they're being this manipulative person who's purposely trying to deceive you and lie to you. And as soon as they say one wrong thing, people automatically jump to that. Oh, you know, they're doing this on purpose. You know, they totally meant to do this to bring this other people down. And it's like, no, sometimes it's honestly just an honest mistake. Sometimes people do dumb things when they're not thinking about it. amazing that people actually do make mistakes sometimes. But people automatically jump to, oh, they gotta be like, they must have plotted this. They must have planned this out. You know, they woke up and they're like, how can I destroy everyone's lives? It's just, it's just like, and then it hurts the most when people that are like you think you're cool with just suddenly like tell you there's like one day out of the blue that, hey, yo, did you know everyone thinks that you're an ass? And I'm like, no. What are you talking about? And yes, I've had those experiences where people are like, so I've had people complaining about how you've been like acting and everything, but you know, I didn't. I'm only telling you this now because I'm going to discipline you. That might be the wrong way to say it, but like the point is like they didn't like talk to me about why I did it, or like they didn't talk like what I was doing. They just were like, you know, they just jumped to conclusions. And it's so frustrating when people just jump to conclusions. And then I don't even get to defend myself. I don't even get to explain my side of things. They just jump to, well, this is what people said, so it must be true. It's just, so annoying. But that's just the way life is sometimes. People just love jumping to conclusions. And, you know, from their side of things, it can sometimes make sense. Like, there's so much. Like, anonymity does wonders to people online. Like, there's people that just don't care. Just don't care. They just don't care. And it's really interesting. Perception is a difficult thing. You know, people are so adamant about their opinions on people that they don't ever stop to hear people out, to let others like say their sides and everything. Like if you say a certain opinion, people will either automatically assume the worst of you or assume the best of you. And it's not always that way. Like it's not always that simple. And to be honest, it's never that simple. But people make it that way. They're like, oh, well, if you have this opinion, then you must be terrible. Or if you have this opinion, then you must be like the best person on earth. Even if you don't even know me. Even if you don't even know why I think that way. People just automatically jump to, well, it must be this case. It's just so difficult. It's so difficult. But there's also a positive side to the internet and the way people perceive you. Is that there are people that won't jump to that conclusion. That won't just jump to, oh, this person is being, you know, evil or being a saint or whatever. Then just treat you like a person. To be honest, everyone should kind of just be that way and just treat people like people and not like some saint or some devil. Oh, what a world that would be if people actually did that. I mean, let's be honest, no one's ever gonna do that. Not really, anyways. But, I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe one day people will get their heads out of their asses. But anyways, that's kind of all I wanted to say on the subject. Kind of said a lot. What I would say to wrap it up is basically be careful about what you think about people. Because sometimes it's not so simple. Sometimes they don't even know that you think that way. Sometimes talking to a person and hearing them out is better than just automatically jumping to, oh, they must be the worst person on earth. Like, if you have a problem with someone, talking to them and saying, hey, this kind of bothered me, or this didn't sit right with me, or I'm just talking to them is better than just jumping to, oh, this person must be the devil, this person must be the most evil person on earth to think this way. Sometimes people don't want to answer, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes people don't owe you an explanation. But it's better to ask for an explanation than to just jump to this person is the most evil person on earth, or something like that. But anyways, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Hope to see you guys in the future. And peace out, guys. It's been a blast.